Hello, Charlie TCG here, and welcome back to my channel. As you guys know, I really enjoyed covering about the expander format, and you guys seem to really be loving it as well. And we even saw potentially this week, we saw some hype, but maybe expander format could be potentially returning in this form of league challenges. Unfortunately, that was a little bit debunked, so I'm going to kind of cover about what exactly happened in the community sort of response to the expander format. And because of this, a lot of people did share some of their expanded lists, which they've been enjoying to play. So I'm going to talk to you about those sort of lists there, which we could see the expanded format kind of evolving, as well as some sort of takes which I really like in the format, and where I could potentially see the expanded format going. So let's jump into the video. So it all started on Monday when Stefan Ivanov posted on Twitter that expander format is going to be coming back. At least we were notified by some professors in France, and it will be expander format on in league challenges, which is very exciting. And as you can see here by the views, it was pretty big over there, and a lot of people kind of took to the format to be really excited that it would be returned, and also lots of criticism. Some people were very concerned about the expanded being returned, as some cards were very expensive, and some people were very vocal about not liking the return of expanded, as there was very limited products and easy access for some newer players to get them. For the likes of Battle Compressor and Computer Search, these could potentially be very expensive cards, and they haven't been printed for nearly over 10 years. Now, unfortunately, this was completely debunked by a person who works at Pokemon pretty much the very next day that there was, thank you for bringing up the discrepancy. We can confirm that League Cups and Challenges will be standard format only. Thank you again for the information. As always, do not hesitate to reach out for any questions or issues. So it's kind of sad to say that expander format, for about 12 to 14 hours, people were so excited that we are going to potentially see expanded format. And I was quite excited about it. I really like talking about expanded format. I think it's really exciting. I've got lots of cards in the expanded format from just my collection, and I thought it was really exciting to potentially see it return. Now, not that being said, it isn't going to be in League Cups and Challenges, not saying it could potentially be in any regionals. So what I want to talk to you now is exactly showcase some of the winning lists, what exactly is good in the expanded format. We do see some events that happen over in Japan, and even some events that happen over for us in like some in real life sort of events and online tournaments. So I want to kind of cover exactly what's there, and it's not just Lugia. That being said, I'm going to start by looking at Lugia VSTAR, pretty much the dominant, the amazing archetype in the expanded format. And this was the winning list that happened over in Japan at the start of the year, which is kind of like the last big expanded format we've had. It pretty much is you can use Wally as early as turn 1 if you're going second, to make sure you can get out this Star Tempest, pretty much making sure that you can get your archetypes and discard power as quickly as possible and power up one of the Pokemon like the Giratina Garchomp tag team to make sure you can use the GG attacks to pretty much wipe out the opponent's cards out on the forward of the board and immediately kind of win that way, and can easily do some sniping damage with Garchomp and negative gold Buzzword, also another very good attackers. You can see here is very much focused purely on the let's try and get exactly out the turn 1 sort of attack by focusing hugely on some of the draw sort of factors like the likes of Dedenne and having Battle VIP plus Battle Compressor, another battle one to discard up to 3 cards from your deck and put them into your discard pile. Very powerful here, and you can see here that supporter lineup is very similar to what we're going to see in lots of other decks. A lot of decks do play the Guzma, Marnie, N, and Research. It's very much the common sort of staple, and they have a lot more lower counts for them due to playing these big sort of Pokemon searching like cards like Tapu Lele, like Dedenne, and then you have loads of other cards there like VF, so you can still constantly be reusing them. Silent Lab is very powerful, just shutting off any of these basic abilities, i.e. Wobbuffet, so you can carry on with your day and easily getting the attacks going off with your Lugias. Very powerful archetype, and this is pretty much been the staple of exactly how Lugia has been evolving. And you can obviously add like Squawkabilly in the kind of a new sort of form, but I thought to showcase you exactly what list is actually pretty much the better and expanded. Now, there are obviously people who do play some expanded games in Japan, and I've covered those in my video last month, talking about exactly what were good in the expanded format in Powder and Evolved. So I will talk to you exactly what exactly is good still. Serena, I really love in this format, doing 20 plus 40 for each Pokemon you get to discard, and loads of really good synergies with this. Propagation, Execute, and obviously the Distortion Door Giratina work incredibly well by putting loads of damage counters on. It can easily get them up from the discard pile. Dragonite as well is very powerful. The likes of Rescue Stretcher as well, so you can easily get any of your more Pokemon out from your discard pile very quickly. Lots of drawing factor of Pokemon here, the likes of Crobat, Dedenne, Squawkabilly, and obviously Tapu Lele and Eldegoss, pretty much making sure you can easily do big discard, draw many cards as possible, and Tapu Lele and Eldegoss make you search your deck from your like a Sporter from your deck or your discard pile. I love a synergy of Mr. Mime and Jirachi, pretty much a way for you to maybe even get an extra price card or so if you have only just one heavy ball and you know there's a Jirachi in the discard in the pretty much in your prizes, you can pretty much easily get that from Mr. Mime by taking one of your prizes and swapping another card. And as long as you know it's Jirachi, you can immediately put it down onto the bench if you've got space, which you most likely will, and draw an extra prize card that way. I really like this way. Potentially you can get those extra prize cards in those some single prize matchups, which isn't really very common. And Tapu Koko makes sure you can use its ability to make sure you can attack Serena out as turn 1. As you can see here, like I mentioned, Marnie, Research, Guzma are very common supporters in most of the format, and Pokemon Ranger is very good, making sure you can go through any sort of effects on the opponent's side and not be slowed down whatsoever. Floatstone and Forest Steel and Sky Steel Stone are very, very powerful. Floatstone is very, very good because quite a lot of Pokemon might have some free retreat, and it's an easy way to go and like give them an instant free retreat. And Sky Steel Stone, because there's quite a few like tag teams going around, like for example, sorry, not tag teams, like VMAXs. There are some VMAXs which go around, and especially on the likes of and V-Stars as well, the likes of Lugia as well as some Mew, you can easily get an extra prize card, which is really, really strong here. And Adventure Bag is kind of seen a lot more play in the format, because Adventure Bag makes you can search your deck for any tool card, which is the likes of Sky Stone and Forest and Floatstone. So I really enjoy that in this sort of format here. And I think it's a really, really powerful archetype, and definitely one which I'm kind of really enjoying about it, and potentially wanting to build and kind of like play Serena V. Another one as well is Miraidon Tag Team Box. Miraidon's obviously incredibly powerful because of his amazing tandem unit ability, and obviously Electric Generator really adds to it. But what happens if you just add Max Elixir to the deck? I think this deck is really good. This is pretty much all power, and it's pretty much, you have to go really aggressive as early as quick as possible. As you know, I've covered last week about Vikavolt V, which I think is an incredibly powerful archetype right now. The item lock and pretty much easy ways you can Electric Generator and Max Elixir to make sure, and Tapu Koko, so you can easily get it out turn 1, and having the likes of the Electric Magnets to do extra more damage that way, or a Regieleki V, so you can easily get the huge big one-hit KOs and item lock the opponent. Is just absolutely incredible. It is Seismitoad pretty much on a different level, which I really, really enjoy this style of archetype here. I love Muscle Band as well. Muscle Band is seeing a lot more play, just doing extra train damage to anything, because if you think about like Choice Belt, Fighting Fury Belt, and Choice Band, they're always like subjugate to like Choice Belt and Band only do more damage to certain Pokemon, and then Fighting Fury Belt is only really access to basic Pokemon. Could potentially be good at having that extra HP on something, but only doing an extra 10 damage here. Again, we're seeing Adventurous Bag in here because you can get Forest Steel Stone and Muscle Band, so very, very powerful here. Forest Steel Stone, I think, is a really good inclusion in a lot of decks out here. Like for example, attaching it to Vikavolt to easily get any of your cards you might want from the deck. And again, like I said here, you'll notice a very big trend in lots of supporters. Pokemon Ranger, Marnie, Juniper, which is basically Research, and Guzma. Guzma, you might say, why are we seeing this over Boss's Orders or Lysander? Well, it's an extra switch card here. You can immediately switch them from the bench. You can have quite a few free retreaters out in the axe as well. That's why Floatstone is super, super incredibly powerful. Haven't mentioned just now, but Transmail is a really good card as well. Pretty much looking at the top 4 cards of the deck and putting any trainer card you see there, except Transmail, into your hand. And Computer Search as well as your ace spec of choice, I think is really, really powerful, especially as a way to pretty much discard 2 and get any card you might want. So having that plus Forest Steel Stone is really good because you can get instantly 2 cards, so that any card you might want at any of the game. I really like this deck. I think it's really powerful. Target Whistle is basically Echoing Horn, and I think it's just, yeah, very, very powerful archetype. And I think if I was playing again, this is an archetype which I'd be loving to expand the format. You can see here there are some exciting decks that go around there. It's not just these big degenerate you can't play decks like Lugia, but they have to kind of play around that. Now, I want to talk to you about Stefan Ivanov. He did, in fact, post a list here about the Zoroark Checkmate archetype. This is a really, really powerful deck, and I think it's absolutely insanely strong. It's a list which he said which potentially could be very good in the expanded format. For those who don't know, you have Zoroark with the trade ability, get Sky in the card, and gain to draw 2. Basically, this is where it all started, and that's why refinement is pretty much on Zoroark GX. And you have lots of other fun archetypes in here. Not only do you have a Ditto, which can work really well with the likes of Muck, I believe, potentially Naganadel, GX Slowbro, and Dugong will work with that, with the likes of Ditto Prism Star, but you can also have it with the likes of Zoroark. So again, very, very fun if both of those sort of things work together. Pretty much you can use this way to get the checkmates of archetype, try and get all your prize cards out as little as possible. And Naganadel GX is really good, that Stinger GX, making sure that you pretty much get the whole board setup. You shuffle your hand, everyone shuffles their prizes into their deck and they draw 3. Both people do that, which is very, very powerful archetype as well here. Jirachi as well, pretty much making sure if you take that, you take an extra prize card. And Dugong as well to kind of like set some board damage out, but do some extra damage in that sort of way. And Slowpoke obviously to kind of take 2 prizes if your opponent has limited prize cards available. I really like this deck. I think it's really interesting. Definitely, this is an example of this is a big brain archetype. You have to really think. I think Arceus VSTAR is really good, not only as a decent attacker, but obviously that star buff ability, gain any 2 cards you might want to have, is much more reliable, much more important and impacting in the game, because you can use that right before you win the archetype. And Skyfield as well, because you can see here there are so many support archetypes in here: Squawkabilly, Dedenne, Tapu Lele, the Jirachi, the Dittos, the Zoroark, so many different archetypes here. So Skyfield is an instant really good choice. Again, you're seeing Muscle Band and Floatstone, really powerful deck, tool cards, especially in this format. And again, like I said, we're seeing Pokemon Ranger, we're seeing Guzma, and here we are seeing Ionis, which is very good. And Pioneer is really powerful as well. Pretty much you can use that near the end of a game, making sure you can know exactly where your last 3 prize cards are, switching them out so you can guarantee you can win, which I think is really powerful archetype. And I really love this style of deck here. And it's the first time we've probably seen Battle VIP parts in the format, in this style expanded format. So that's quite interesting to see here. And special charge, because triple acceleration energy, you immediately attach to only an evolved Pokemon, and at the end of a turn it gets discarded. You get to reuse potentially 2 of them, which I really like in here. And the other ace spec here is Dowsing Machine, which is discard 2 and get a card from your discard pile. Very interesting archetype. I think it's really good. And I really like to see this sort of creativity in Zoroark. Kind of it's definitely still much a controlling archetype, but definitely something to be considerate about. Another one I did see someone showcase was this Jolteon VMAX and Garbodor archetype. I find this deck to be quite interesting. Obviously, we know Jolteon could be really powerful because it's going to hit that Lugia for weakness. And you can have the likes of Guzma, which pretty much you get to search your deck for I believe it is a tool card. And after that, you can pretty much discard effect and get a stadium card and an special energy card. And because of that, you can pretty much get your Jolteon set up straight away. You can get Thunder Mountain plus speed energy, or to get some Joy card, and obviously get the elemental badge. So pretty much you can get Jolteon EX VMAX set up as early as turn 1, and Garbodor can show off any of the abilities, which is really powerful. I always love Cheryl as well, special healing, as you play very limited sort of energy counts in here. We are seeing, obviously, you've seen a load of special energies. Special energies is hugely important in this sort of format, and I really like this as well. Lots of different sort of archetypes as well, with the likes of the stadium cards. Shrine of Punishment is very good. Shrine of Punishment pretty much is for every Pokemon, which I believe is a GX or EX, you put 1 damage counter on them, which is pretty good to do overall. And Tag Call as well to get any of the tag team cards. The only ones you play are Guzma and Caitlyn and Cynthia. So it kind of goes around that. And again, we're seeing Guzma as the gusting card of choice. And I really like seeing Trash Lance in here, because item lock is very much left, items is very much left unchecked. So Trash Lance, making sure you can get some extra discarding and do a huge amount of damage with there, for having likes of unit energy. I really enjoy it. I think this deck is definitely quite interesting. It is kind of like, it does sometimes, if you're not hitting for weakness, you are pretty much a 2 to potentially even 3 to 4 shotting style deck, but something which you can think about, which I really enjoy about. Now is my sort of favorite deck as well, something I kind of like flirt up, which is Togekiss VMAX. As you don't know, and you probably see from my banner, Togekiss is my favorite Pokemon of all time, and I did in fact play this at a tournament when the first one came back in Liverpool Regionals back last year, and unfortunately played a kind of misplay, which really got me out of contention of day 2. I think Togekiss VMAX is such an interesting archetype here, and I really like having the likes of weakness policy in this one. As I mentioned, we're seeing quite a lot of lightning style Pokemon out there, so I don't think how good Togekiss could be in the meta, but I think playing like likes of Path to Speak is really strong. I mentioned as well, like, obviously we saw earlier with Lugia playing the Silent Lab as their CM card of choice, because it's going around the likes of Wobbuffet. Wobbuffet obviously shuts down all abilities except psychic ones. So kind of like, I was thinking, oh, if I have Wobbuffet in this, they can just immediately bump the stadium and kind of go through that way. Greens is really powerful because you can get any card you want to have, and having Togekiss as well, you can pretty much get 4 cards, which is really powerful here, and lots of disruptive cards as well. I love Enhanced Hammer, I love Max Push to get extra healing factor. There aren't ways to reuse any of these sort of cards here, but the idea is you can pretty much like do influence of healing loop near the end by Lucid Me to pretty much get back your Cheryls, AZ, or potentially a Acerola, which is really nice as well. A special charge as well can easily recycle any of your energy cards you might have, like triple acceleration energy. Very powerful as well, because immediately just gets away by end of your turn. So it's easy ways to kind of pick up with likes of Acerola, AZ, or in fact, obviously, the likes of Max Potion with extra healing. Scoop Out Cyclone, another ace-spec card. We covered like 3 different types of ace-specs, which is really powerful. Obviously, ace-specs were these only one of them trainer cards you could only have in the deck. Make much picking up any of your Pokemon you have, and then obviously, and then promote any of new ones. So instant healing over a Togekiss. With the likes of increase of like Miraidon decks really helping Electro decks, I don't know if Togekiss will ever have its time to shine, but I think it's really, really fun. I really love it as well. And definitely an archetype which, if potentially it does come back as a league challenge, I probably would pick up a Togekiss and see exactly what I could do with it. So, will expanded ever return? This is a question which a lot of people are talking about, and I've been mentioning nearly in every single end of my video. The future right now is unsure. Hopefully we might find an answer at Worlds. As we know, they aren't going to be in League Cups and Challenges for the foreseeable future, but what's that saying from it not going to be in any regionals? Potentially we could see if there's one expanded regionals. It's something which I would love to compete in, and be sure that if it does happen, some of these really hard to really cool cards will probably be very expensive. You can still play with it at some online events, and there's sometimes that mainly the webcam games are due to it, as live is very, very difficult to have. Live doesn't only have all cards, I think expanders were only Sun and Moon on, so kind of like stopping some of these big archetypes as well, with having no battle compressor and the likes of N. So it's kind of a bit of a disruption of cards as well, because these are really, really powerful archetypes, and especially these big cards in these sort of meta. And they would have to change the card pool, I do believe. It's harder for players to kind of get the best cards. Like I mentioned, Computer Search, Battle Compressor, and likes of even like these big powerful archetypes, even like Wobbuffet to slow down Lugia. These cards are all like older sort of cards here, and they can easily skyrocket in price. So potentially going to a Sun and Moon or even a Sword and Shield on expanded format, I know people will be very disappointed by it, but I think that is where we are going to be going to it. We have to kind of do like a cutoff point, or potentially Pokemon has to print like some of these expanders or staples, which easy access for some players to get hold of, which I think would be really good if Pokemon does that, if they actually want to put some effort into expanded. So I hope this has kind of been a helpful video here, and kind of seeing exactly where the expanded format is falling around, even in some Paldean Evolved format. Lugia, Vikavolt, and Serena, I think are definitely some of the biggest archetypes right now, which would be really much a big threat to the sort of the meta game here. There are in fact some online tournaments happening over this weekend. If you guys enjoy this video, I'll happily cover it in a couple of weeks' time, kind of talking to you exactly where expanded format is going to potentially be evolving, and hopefully we might get an answer to it very, very soon. If you're enjoying this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to join the channel. In there you can really see and really help exactly to see where you can shape the format and how I can really improve any of my content. I'll see you in a couple of days' time for another video, and thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.